Welcome to this podcast for National Schools Training, ILM Diploma Level 4 in School Business Management qualification. The topic area is Managing School Facilities, and I'm looking at Module 1, Strategic Site Management. The purpose of the podcast is to provide a brief insight in how a school business manager may become involved and lead this area within a school. But firstly, a very brief synopsis of my background. I hold a business-related degree and have a master's in IT. Initially, I started working with schools as a local authority peripatetic bursar and concentrated on finance. This was expanded into providing strategic and management support. I was already working as an SBM and officially when I undertook the CSBM, which is now the Level 4 qualification, and I later gained what is now the Level 5 qualification. I currently work as a cluster SBM for schools, for 2 small schools, but this is soon to be 4 schools, and I support a further 2 very small schools in a SBM capacity, but have less involvement with these. I also work as an advanced school business manager leading other SBMs. In thinking about strategic site management, you will need to consider whether the building supports a school vision and whether it is fit for purpose. It is necessary to be able to think creatively and offer solutions. An example of where I had to do this was for a small school. It was housed in a Victorian building with very little storage or office space. The head teacher and administrator had to share an office, and whilst this had been identified as a problem, it was not a priority until about 3 years ago. At this time, I was asked to provide strategic support for a number of areas. In studying this unit, you will learn that it is important for the school to have a clear vision and that the facilities, premises support and enhance the vision. It was clear that the school did not have a vision, and this was partly due to having a large number of head teachers and cover head teachers in rapid succession. Their priorities focused on immediate issues and did not have time to consider the longer-term view. When considering the vision for facilities, it can be difficult to prioritise non-teaching areas, but it is important to recognise the value of these areas and their contribution to the vision and values overall. By the time I'd been asked to become involved, the need for a separate head teacher office had been established as a priority. One suggestion was to convert the IT suite into a head teacher's office. I considered this to be less than ideal, as it would reduce teaching space, and access to the library was required through this area. So in considering options to resolve the problem, I considered the physical layout of the school and any available areas or space. I also highlighted the safeguarding issue of access to the building. As the office was not immediately next to the main entrance, visitors had to announce themselves via intercom, but then once let in had full access to the building. Staff generally did not meet them, but they were verbally directed to the office, and this had been overlooked in the past. So firstly, I negotiated a budget for the project and established that around 20,000 could be available from devolved formula capital. This is the funding that's available for maintained schools for capital works, including improvements. I then explored possible solutions. As I wanted to improve safeguarding and access to the building, I looked at the area at the main entrance. This consisted of a fairly large foyer area, and previous work had included making a formal porch area as part of the interior of the building. It was clear that this area could be improved to accommodate an office space. I immediately explored the idea of converting this area, and looking at this, I found that one wall in this area was at the back of the PE store, which was accessed from the hall. So I looked at whether the wall could be removed and that be area utilised as the office space. In looking at removing an interior wall, on first glance that it appeared that the wall was not a supporting structure, but the school did have to seek expert guidance on this and consider building regulations, any asbestos issues, ventilation and heating of the office. We also had to consider whether reducing the storage area of the existing PE store was acceptable and wouldn't just create another problem. In keeping to a budget, we received quotes for the building and decorating work, as well as for new furniture, heating, lighting, and new data and telephone points. The governors were consulted and considered it to be an excellent idea and a better idea than using a teaching space. I was lucky in that they were on board with this and essentially given a fairly free rein in making the office space kind of more welcoming. This is what happened. The wall was knocked down and essentially moved and rebuilt, creating a smaller PE store. And then we had a nice large office space. Various partitions were constructed to allow visitors to enter the reception area, but it restricted access to the entire building. The admin office is now situated at the front of the building. It provides safer access and is far more welcoming than previously when initial contact was via the intercom. I hope you found this example useful for your studies.